I think for us, our standpoint as leaders, it is our duty to create hope. It is our duty to uh, create an atmosphere where people can thrive and do well even in stressed circumstances. And so it's our time to lead with heart, with empathy, all those overused type of things that people say you need. Um, Believe it and actually lead that way. And I don't look at them as soft skills. Those are actually the hard skills. In understanding how to connect with people, how to develop people, how to help people grow, even in a stressed time like we're in right now.
Welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. I'm your host Sumita Mariam, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Greg Brenner is the podcast host of Everyday People's podcast by the HR Dad. He's also the Assistant Vice President, Talent and Organizational Development, HR at the University of Miami. He's also the author of the Smack Dab in the Middle of Life series. He's known for his balanced mix of fun and wisdom on all things HR. We are extremely happy and honored to have him on our interview series today. Welcome, Greg. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you are doing well in this lockdown phase of the world right now.
Thank you so much, Greg, and it's absolutely our pleasure to have you here. So, moving on to the interview, the first question I have for you, let's start with a little bit about your life as an HR dad. I mean, what inspires you to excel in this journey every day?
So first off, the HR Dad came from a place where I love to speak about leadership and people and the workplace, things of that nature, but I also happen to be a dad. And I find that there are many lessons that we learn from being parents that we apply in the workplace as well. So that's it kind of all got mixed in together, and I was working with a writing coach named Martha Finney, and she came up with the idea. She goes, all you do is talk about leadership and parenting and your kids and everything. She goes, you need to be the HR dad. And so that's where it started, and we've kind of embraced that, and it's become a thing. So it's the first thing. And then we just love people and building strong networks of people in not only in work but also outside of work as well.
Yeah, that's right. So, you love all things people, in organizations. So let me ask you about, the employee-centric organizations of today. Do you think employee centricity is real?
I do, I really do. But there's real employee centricity, and then there's the ones that we think we're being like that, right? So many times in organizations, we want to have, and right now, obviously, in the middle of this pandemic, it's very different right now. And I think the organizations that are truly employee-centric are showing up and rising to the top during this time, because you truly do look at your people differently. And so navigating these difficult times that we're in, the companies that do it genuinely and authentically and real are thriving even in difficult times. And so there's people that say you're employee centric and you do your wonderful surveys and things of that nature, but when it comes down to treating people well, that doesn't always occur. And then there's a natural tension there, right? There's a natural tension between there's work to be done and we need people to do it. And you need the people to do the work that you need them to do. But when you take an approach that people and you treat them like people, I think those organizations really accelerate their excellence.
Yeah, that's so right. And this is such a difficult situation to be with the pandemic and lockdowns and remote working and all of that. So what advice would you give leaders who have to support a team right now in this remote working and, this pandemic crisis?
Um, it's a challenge, right? Leadership is difficult enough on its own, and then you throw in a pandemic, and then we're in the States, and we've got this other situation going on, and on some racism and things that are kind of reared its ugly head. So it's really a challenge, and it's difficult to lead. However, it gets back to your first question about employee-centric. And when you think about what do employees need, um, there you can narrow it down to a couple of different things. They need direction at times. They need to be heard. They need to be listened to, and you also need to create some hope and some stability where you can. Stability is a funny thing because right now it's very unstable. So you can't create like this false stability. You can't lie that these things aren't going on, but you can create direction. You can create excellent communication and get very specific around communication. So people talk about communication all the time. I can't see communication. My dogs are communicating in the background. I don't know if you heard that or not. That's one of the other challenges from working at home. You have random kids walking in the back and random dogs barking. But the thing of actually listening and communicating in ways that are meaningful for your people makes all the difference in the world, right? It just makes all the difference in the world. So get really specific about how you want to communicate, when you want to communicate, and in what ways you want to communicate.
Yeah. So, when we talk about that, you have to increase the engagement of a team. It is very crucial at this point. So how can we, increase the engagement of our team? And, this is such a hard time to communicate and collaborate. So how can you increase that, team spirit from the inside of a team?
So what we've done in my group, and that's what I can kind of talk about, and I've seen it within our organization as well. What I've done is I've increased the frequency of communication, right? So if we met as a group once a month as a full group, okay, I'm meeting every day now, right? So we have a huddle every single day. We're communicating everything that I know. I'm being as transparent as I can when I can, and then I'm allowing them to ask questions, right? And so we are focused. We are moving things forward, but at the same time, excuse me about that. At the same time, we are absolutely laser focused on the work that we need to do. All we've done is we've increased the frequency of the time that we come together. And we've also increased the frequency, but we've shortened the time that we're together. So the time we're together is very, very impactful. We get to our business, we hear each other, we ask our questions, and then we move on and we get back to work.
Yeah. So we also have this, concept of, it's not working from home. You're homing from work because, this is such a crazy time, and, it's with remote working and work. And like you said, there are dogs barking in the background. So in this scenario, how would you, advise anyone, any employee to, maintain a work-life balance?
So I think that balance is a misnomer. Okay, when we're in the workplace and in the office, it doesn't exist, right? So what I do is I tend to eliminate that conversation of work-life balance, and I call it more work-life presence, right? So when you are doing things with your family, be present. When you're doing things at work, be present. And when you are doing things for yourself, be present. So it's much less of work-life balance, it's more like work-life presence. And at the same time, there is some real things, especially in the Zoom world, that you find yourself sitting at a computer for hours and hours and hours, staring into this camera, into this computer. And I would say you do need to find some balance in taking breaks and grabbing some fresh air, taking a quick walk, getting a snack or something along those lines. So there is some balance of getting off the computer and the screen time, I find. But besides having balance, it didn't exist for me when we were in the office. It doesn't really exist for me here, and it's not a goal that I'm looking for. It's more about, am I present when I shut the computer off with my family, my kids and my family? Or if I'm doing something for myself, am I fully present in it? And that's where I try to turn up the volume.
Wow, that's a beautiful concept. I think that's how you can, maintain justice to your work, your life, and everything, whatever you fall back to after work. So that's wonderful. And, let's shift our focus a little bit to, the recruitment area. Do you think, there is an unconscious bias in recruitment? And do you think technology is developed or developing to, tackle that bias in recruitment?
So I would say, anytime you have a person involved, there's potential for bias, right? Because it's the way we're brought up, it's the regions we're brought up. If we were doing an interview, you and I, and on a panel, and there was somebody from India that was presenting their case that lived in a town near you, and you understood what happens in your culture and in business and things of that nature, and I had somebody that lived near me and understand the culture that I live in and things of that nature, and we were interviewing the candidate for our next job. Unconscious bias happens all the time, right? So you may default to the person who's in India because there's a comfortability factor, even subconsciously. Now, we try to, as HR professionals, as leaders, we try to avoid those biases. Sometimes they're subconscious and you don't even know you have them and they're there. So yes, anytime you have people involved, I think there's a chance for bias. Absolutely. You have to train yourself not to be that way, I believe. Now, on the technology front, can it help? Sure, it can help, but I don't think it 100% always eradicates it because you still have a person that's going to decide, unless you have the system always deciding without, kind of blind trust in the system to be able to make those decisions without bias. Now, last time I checked, people program computers. And so there can be, bias that's unknown that is entered into that as well. So can it help? Absolutely. Can it help you filter through community, through candidates and things of that nature? I think technology can really raise the bar from that perspective. I think we do have the opportunity to do better as people, but again, with the systems with technology, for sure.
Yeah, that's all right. And just another addition. So right now we have this remote working situation, and do you think how do you think the performance management system right now can evolve, or do you think we have the future of performance management right here?
I think this is going to be another one of those challenging things of how do you measure performance? Do you do it the same way, or are you open to doing things differently? I love, I think you've interviewed him on the show, is Marshall Goldsmith's philosophy on feed forward. And his philosophy around that, just summarizing it, is that let's not look back at performance. Let's look at how you can fuel somebody's future and how do you look forward to that person instead of really focusing on the past and what's transpired in the past and recounting what happened in the last year. Right now, in this kind of mobile workforce that we're in, we're just trying to get through the day. So forget about what we did. I mean, the world is different from 3 months ago. So how are we gonna measure performance and things of that nature? I think it does. I think it gives us a great opportunity for us to look at performance differently going forward. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, Greg, just to kind of, wrap up the interview process, if you have any last important sound bites that you would like to leave our audience.
I think for me, it is people are super wonderful people, right? People are wonderful in the workplace. They're wonderful out in society. Right now, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. I think for us, our standpoint as leaders, it is our duty to create hope. It is our duty to create an atmosphere where people can thrive and do well even in stressed circumstances. And so it's our time to lead with heart, with empathy, all those overused type of things that people say you need. Believe it and actually lead that way. And I don't look at them as soft skills. Those are actually the hard skills in understanding how to connect with people, how to develop people, how to help people grow, even in a stressed time like we're in right now. So I think that's our and just embrace the journey and help people get through it together.
Wow, that's wonderful. And thank you so much for your time, Greg. I mean, the greatest takeaway for me personally from this interview is the work-life presence idea. So I think it's going to help our audience a lot. So thank you so much for that, for all your time and your energy. And, the past 20 minutes have been really, really knowledgeable and enriching for me personally and for our audience also. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And I will keep in touch with you. Have a safe day, healthy and safe day ahead of you.
You too. Thank you so much, and I apologize.